Okay, Katie, could you tell me what made you decide to do this project and what you hope to achieve from it?
Well, several people in Integrity and Claiming the Blessing had been talking for a long time about bringing LGBT Africans to Lambeth, and that was proving to be very difficult because it's difficult for them to get passports and visas, because if it's found out that they're homosexual, they lose their jobs. And if you don't have a job, British immigration isn't real thrilled about giving you a visa to come here because they're afraid you won't go back home. And so because we couldn't get them here in person, we talked about how can we get their stories here. And so we decided to do, we'd done a Voices of Witness in the US, we decided to do a Voices of Witness Africa. We raised the money very quickly. We raised only enough to get us there, back, and to feed and house us while we were there. In 10 days, we put all this together, found the stories, went to Kenya, Uganda, and talked to Nigerians, Kenyans, Ugandans, and put this together. And then when we met them, we were so moved by their stories, by the sweetness of spirit and the depth of belief of these people, and their courage in letting us show their faces and give their names, which every one of them agreed to after we had long discussions with them, because we were very concerned about their safety. But they felt so strongly that they wanted to speak to the church that we were very awed and humbled by their willingness to trust us with their stories.
Are you going to be showing it to all the bishops here? Or?
We're going to be showing it to as many bishops as we can wrangle in to get them to look. I mean, I'm a Texan. We talk about corralling bishops. I don't know that that's possible, but we hope to show it to as many bishops as we can, and ultimately we want to raise the money to go back to Africa, to go to more African nations, talk to more people, and then mail the finished product to every bishop in the Anglican Communion.
To get to where I am today, I've had to transition from being a male person to becoming a female person. And with my transition, this is my gender identity, I noticed that I felt more of an attraction to women.
I began understanding in 1997 when I was in school, and I was in senior 3 by then.
Looking back at it, I'd say I was always gay, but only when I was younger I didn't know that is what it was called. I just think I was different, because most of the things I used to like doing as a kid, I didn't know how other things used to identify gay men. For instance, I never used to like playing ball. When you're not playing football as a young kid, there's something wrong with you, especially a boy.
I came out to myself at quite an early age. By the time I was 11, I had started coming out to myself, but I was still in denial. Yeah, it will come and go and I'll be comfortable, and then the other minute I'm not.
I accepted myself as early as 9.
You know, the church in Nigeria is a very powerful tool of change, in the sense that what is obtainable or what is said in the church, you know, is what goes out to the wider society and what people believe, even non-Christians believe and tend to act on. So if the church tends to kind of like change their what goes out to the wider society and what people believe, even non-Christians believe and tend to act on. So if the church tends to kind of like change their views about, you know, homosexuals and LGBT people, you know, and stop preaching gay hate and start to preach inclusion and tolerance. And
White homosexuals most of the time have been dealing with.
I believe it will go a long way.
These are people, like especially the church, these are people supposed to be preaching love, tolerance and acceptance, and instead they're the ones trying to preach the opposite of that. So it really heartbreaks me, like even today's newspaper, to see that a whole head of church in Uganda, Orombi, is busy wasting time about gay marriages in UK when we have more pressing issues here in Uganda, like the war in the north.
We should accept that we should have more and more revelation by knowing that these people are really existing. There were people in Africa who used to say, no, homosexuals do not exist. It is just probably a Western thing. I haven't been dealing with white homosexuals most of the time. I've been dealing with African black homosexuals. Many fear to come out because of the stigma. And even myself to say, I understand this, I recognize them. It hasn't been easy. Very risky, but because I feel when you know the truth, it should make you free.
I think the bottom line when it comes to God, God is love. And that should be it. Homosexuals do not practice something else. We are not killers, we're not murderers, we are not molesters, we're not bad. We're like your average people. It's just that we choose to love in a different way. But at the end of the day, it is love. We love deeply, truly, honestly, and we should be given a chance to show that to the world. Do not force people into closets.
Ask me how I live. Talk to me and I tell you. How do I relate with my God? The God that you talk about so much. How do I relate with Him? Before you go proclaiming me a sinner. I think that the fathers of this world should really go back to God too. The way they ask everyone to go back to God, they should still continuously go back to God and seek His wisdom about homosexuality.
My favorite verse in the Bible will be what I will tell the bishops. The only thing the Bible preaches is love. And I would like the bishops to get back to what they preach. It's about love. It's about living with each other. It's about sharing. It's about all the good things that we have been given for free.
There is a lot of dictatorship from the Anglican bishop. So it's a high time the Anglican Church also listened to these people.
I hope at this meeting, I hope there will be some changes. I know my country is boycotting it, but that is not going to stop us from believing in God and for continuing in our struggle.